In June 2016, the UK shocked the world when its citizens voted to leave the European Union in the Leave Remain referendum, which was humorously nicknamed Brexit, short for Britain's exit. Despite the name and the momentum gained by the Leave campaign during the run-up to the vote, both the polls and the general consensus left the UK feeling pretty confident that it would, of course, remain in Europe. The result, however, shocked both the world and the UK population, who never really imagined this would actually happen. Consequences of the vote to leave decision are now having an impact on both a macro and micro scale. Stock markets immediately came under pressure but have recovered since, and are in fact now in touching distance of record highs. However, the key effect has been the significant fall in the exchange rate of the pound and the subsequent response by the Bank of England of the reduction in interest rates to try and address the uncertainty in the market. The UK housing market has a strong correlation with the economy, and if there's a weakening of the UK economy in the short to medium term, this is likely to have an impact upon demand for property. However, this can also create opportunity. In a previous property TV programme, property investor and development manager John Hill advised general caution on property investment in the run-up to the Brexit vote and outlined his personal interest in diverse forms of property investment, one of which was the emerging specialist healthcare sector. He expressed his views that specialist healthcare is an asset class which is somewhat insulated from the volatility that traditional property investments are experiencing post-Brexit. The government directive that local authorities are required to bring 50% of their out-of-county residents back in county, he said, provides a clear business case for developments in this sector. Purpose-built facilities within the specialist healthcare arena are in limited supply, and with healthcare in the UK under pressure to evolve, and while demand is on the rise, new facilities will provide the required advancement of the environments where care is received. We have been given exclusive access to the Seaton Lane development to delve into this area more.
My name is John Hill. I'm one of the directors of Seaton Lane Healthcare Limited. We're here on site up in Hartlepool, where we will be developing a state-of-the-art specialist healthcare community. The project here on Seaton Lane has been in planning for over 2 years, where we've been integrating a clear understanding of what specialist healthcare requirements are needed within the local community. Over the next 3 weeks we are doing the demolition of the old school here on site that you can see, flattening the site, making way for the actual construction to start. Very excited to be at this stage. It's been a lot of preparation getting the elements of this project right, but today we're ready to go and knock this school down and get on with delivering this facility.
The location of this development site is on Seaton Lane, Hartlepool, a coastal town in County Durham. The new healthcare facility will sit in a spacious site of approximately 2 acres and will comprise of 28 purpose-designed specialist residential and independently supported living units. The Seaton Lane team have been working with the local authority and with industry professionals to refine the development and to ensure it both delivers and exceeds the authorities' and end users' requirements. The design of the development has been optimised to provide high-quality, flexible accommodation to meet the individual care needs of the incoming residents. The site and building layout has been significantly modified from the original plans, providing more open space and green areas for the benefit of the residents. This is coupled with the rationalisation of the building footprints to provide more efficient functionality and flexibility for the provision of care. John caught up with Lee Butler, a director of the construction services company at the heart of this project.
When we started designing the new development here, we wanted to have at the heart of the design the residents that were going to live here. We wanted to create something that felt like their home, not just a care development.
Understood.
So the idea that we went for was, would I live in this development? And that's what we tried to follow through all the way with the design. We've got nice, large-sized living spaces. We've got lots of external spaces, including private and communal gardens. And we've also designed a lot of flexibility into the buildings. We have the ability to, once the development is finished, to still be able to adapt some of the spaces and rooms to suit the individual residents' needs.
Understood.
This can range anything from installing hoists, providing slightly larger sized bedrooms if we need. We can do all sorts of adaptations after the development is finished, like I say, without disrupting the residents too much. On the site we're going to be providing 16 independent supported living dwellings, which will take the form of apartments. In essence there'll be one bed apartments, but they'll be very spacious. Again, all of the space is designed for disabled users, so whether it's a wheelchair, whether it's a mental disability, we can provide adaptations for all of that. We're also providing 12 residential care units. Now the residential care units are split up into blocks of 6, but then we've actually subdivided those 6 into smaller core groups of 3. This gives the impression of smaller, more personalised living arrangements, where we have users living in small communities rather than in larger communities.
Understood.
This allows an easier mix of more complex needs. It can be quite difficult finding residents who are actually suitable to live together. And by dividing it up into these smaller groups, we thought that would make it a little bit easier and also create a smaller personalised community within each of the developments.
I think what we need to focus on is the future of specialist healthcare, and it's the streamlining that is required, and this streamlining can only come with state-of-the-art facilities such as these to be able to improve care, improve working conditions for the carers, as well as making sure that the homes not hospital aspect is fully adhered to.
We believe that this is the future of specialist healthcare, and it's refreshing to see clients pushing towards the future and actually trying to progress things rather than just staying stagnant in what is currently available, because it doesn't quite meet the needs of the residents.
Having a clear vision of the site's future gives the opportunity for everybody involved in the project to have a clear focus on not only what has got to be achieved, but also the timescale that it has to be achieved in. Before anything creative can happen, the first task is to completely clear the site of all traces of the existing building. But due to the locality of an adjoining local school, this has to be done before the end of the school's summer holiday and before the children return, and there's no room for error.
What we're doing at the minute, John, we're doing the hand demolition between the existing building which is to remain and the building which we're going to demolish. So we'll divorce the two buildings by doing it very carefully by hand.
Understood.
What we don't want to do is demolish this mechanically and have the domino effect, which is going to do any damage to what we need to remain.
Sure.
Once that's done, we'll move in with mechanical machines and we'll start demolishing from this area, working towards into the building using a grab, and as we're doing it, separating the materials out into the relative recycling piles.
Recycling as
so
you go.
The majority will be recycled.
Good, that's positive.
To get this point at the minute, John, what we've had to do, we've had to isolate the two buildings and all the services within, because the services from this part of the school are continuing through floor ducts.
Understood.
To serve this part of the building, which
Okay.
we're going to demolish. And we also had a shared electric supply coming in from the main grid, also a shared water supply coming in.
Understood.
So we're having to do quite a bit of diversion work to get those done, and those have been done prior to demolition. So all this work, including the demolition, which is going to take another 3 weeks from today, has to be done before the children come back to school.
Of course.
On the 5th of September to keep it safe. And it's an ideal opportunity, time-wise and calendar-wise, to do this.
No, understood. We don't want to distract young minds.
No. So when the kids come back in September, the school will be gone. This end of the school will be gone. This will all be hoarded off and safe. So they'll be secluded from that. They will have vision panels, so they can look through the vision panels and look at see the work that we're doing. But we are working closely with the head teacher and Hartlepool Borough Council on the timings and the logistics of doing the work. Because with it being the summer holidays as well, the school are doing their own work in their own school. Mm-hmm. So we're having to work closely together on scheduling the work to make sure we don't interfere with.
No, it's important to keep everyone happy, and especially your neighbours. Yeah, it's good. Good work.
Coming up after the break, John meets one of the investors who's taken a special interest in the project. The detailed handwork of separating the school from the building to be demolished reaches completion, and the mechanised demolition begins. In the post-Brexit world, investors should be paying close attention to the UK's specialist healthcare market. It's socially responsible, and new developments are in short supply. Specialist healthcare shouldn't be confused with care for the elderly. Specialist care covers a broad spectrum of mental health, learning disabilities and forensic care. In the UK, there's a shortage of fit-for-purpose accommodation, and the government has recently acknowledged the need for a dramatic increase in investment in new developments across the sector. Seaton Lane in Hartlepool is one such development. It will provide high-quality accommodation set out across 2 acres and built to the highest specification, offering comfort and safety for its residents. To find out about this latest opportunity for investment in specialist healthcare, please call us on 0203 026 5540 or go to seatonlanehealthcare.com.
So we're commencing the demolition on the back end of the building.
Yeah, should be doing that probably into that next week.
Okay.
We'll start with the other side, which you'll see shortly.
So the back first, working our way through, and then what, total of about 3 weeks, you were saying?
Yeah, that should include the foundations as well.
Okay. So about a 4 week for a total clear site.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And then we'll be straight into construction on September, early September.
Early September we'll be down to start reduced levelling, which will get the ground to the level that we'll need to start bringing in the roads and sewers.
Okay. Well, it's good that progress is, we're there, we're starting.
It's quite simple to demolish.
But it's served its purpose and now it's time for something more fitting.
Yeah, it's looking rather tired now.
There's no Banksies on the walls. No.
No, somebody's had a go, but nobody famous.
So this is the boundary?
This is a boundary line here, so this part of the land still remains a school and local authority.
Okay.
So the extent of our site is where the silver fence is there.
Right.
What's clear about this project is that the development intends to be on the cutting edge of specialist healthcare. But what can often become a barrier to plans of this magnitude is funding requirements. Most developments for healthcare purposes are often government funded, but this can limit the project as various departments debate and provide their input. This particular project is not government funded, but is being funded by private investors, one of whom is Graham Rowan, whose interest in this unique project inspired him to see the project get underway and to find out more about the project he'd invested in.
I think my understanding is that the sort of the approach to looking after people with these special needs is really starting to change now, away from kind of creating big institutions to a more community feel. Is that what we're...
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's very important to be able to be as socially responsible as you can within the environment that you're creating for these needs. And what we have designed is a community, and the government as well as the healthcare commissioners are very conscious about having homes, not hospitals.
Will there actually be carers on site, or will
Absolutely.
they come and visit people as needed, or how will that
No,
work?
absolutely. It depends obviously on the specification of the care requirement, but the facility caters for assisted living, which may require less observation or care or assistance, but then we will be dealing with individuals that will have requirements that will be potentially up to 24 hours a day, eyes on.
I think the other thing that's perhaps more unique about this kind of project is that people are going to be here for, you know, potentially a long time. This is not, we're not talking about end of life care. These are people who've got potentially decades ahead of them.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a community in its own right. We will have residents here of all kinds of different ages, and it will be their home for life. Yeah. And that's what we're looking to design here, is a home for people where they get the best care.
So what sort of things can you do to try and give it more of a community feel as you build the place up?
Well, I think it's, you know, the open spaces that we're delivering here, the type and the style of the buildings, they're very approachable, they're friendly, and everything is has been done on a soft look. It's designed to be almost like a community you would find in any residential area of a town. Obviously, within the insides of the buildings, we're looking at very sensitive aspects on the interior, the facilities, sensory ability rooms, all of the elements that are, I believe, are necessary nowadays to improve the comfort and for the individual residents. And it's a safe, secure environment where individuals can make the best of things, and that's important.
What about families? I mean, can families just come and visit any time they like?
Of course. Of course. I mean, whilst it's obviously, an operating care community, this is what it's about, to be able to allow family interaction, allow friends to interact with the residents that are here, and not, create the barriers that you normally find within the institutional care arena. And at the end of the day, this is their home. And we will be here to obviously make sure that everything is correctly done and supervised, but at the end of the day, this is their home, and we want them to treat it like it.
I think it's a strong message that private investor funding is helping to make this project happen. What you're doing is you're taking it away from the taxpayer.
Yep.
And you're delivering a really sort of state-of-the-art facility without having to go begging to government for the money.
There is, I think, a lot more flexibility within the private sector to be able to reinvent things. And my observation, myself and my business partner Stuart, we've been in specialist healthcare for probably Stuart over sort of 20-25 years, myself for 10 years as an area of real estate. But what we've seen is the improvement that is fairly clear and apparent that's needed. Certainly, delivering property today, or the facilities here today, utilising modern technology, utilising green elements with the solar panels that will be part of the makeup of part of the green effect of the community aspect to this project.
I mean, as an investor in the project myself, and I think, talking on behalf of the other people in my club who've joined in the project, I think it's quite rare to get this combination of a good investment return, but also to feel you're actually doing some good in the community. I think the combination of those has proved quite a powerful one.
Indeed. Well, I think there is a lot of opportunity to start improving things in a marketplace, and I know that there are entities out there that offer very good care, but as a whole, I do think that there are areas that can be improved, in care that can be drastically improved. And I think we're looking forward to implementing our own models, working with people that are highly experienced, injecting the understanding of the industry, but obviously with a modern outlook on it, also with modern facilities. It's the future of healthcare.
At the end of day one, the meticulous hand demolition had come to a close, and the school, which was to remain in situ, had been successfully separated from the building to be demolished. This meant it was time to call in the mechanical diggers.
Today's day 2 of mechanical demolition. In here in the background there, the machine, it's working its way through the building. It'll work its way along the building and then start segregating the materials into the separate recycling piles, ready to go to the transfer station. It'll take about 3 weeks in total to get the building demolished, including the foundations, because under the building is obviously the foundations and the drainage relics which need to be taken out before the new building goes into place. And they'll all be crushed and separated and taken to the transfer station. So all in all, a few weeks before the process is complete. Everything's bang on programme. Day 2 with mechanical demolition as planned, so it's all going well. The next part after the demolition will be the reduced level, which takes the ground levels down to a formation level to the right level for the new construction to come in. And then we'll commence with the roads and sewers, and then we'll start with the foundations of the building. Everything's going to plan. We're pleased to say we haven't come across any difficulties, and we are on schedule to hit the programme that we agreed to meet.
A project of this nature has to be both well planned and professionally managed. There can be no room for error, especially as it's setting a new and high bar for privately funded healthcare projects of the future. In the post-Brexit world, investors should be paying close attention to the UK's specialist healthcare market. It's socially responsible and new developments are in short supply. Specialist healthcare shouldn't be confused with care for the elderly. Specialist care covers a broad spectrum of mental health, learning disabilities and forensic care. In the UK, there's a shortage of fit-for-purpose accommodation, and the government has recently acknowledged the need for a dramatic increase in investment in new developments across the sector. Seaton Lane in Hartlepool is one such development. It will provide high-quality accommodation set out across 2 acres and built to the highest specification, offering comfort and safety for its residents. To find out about this latest opportunity for investment in specialist healthcare, please call us on 0203 026 5540 or go to seatonlanehealthcare.com.